Africa has become a byword for poverty and conflict and the graveyard for well-meaning development projects, but it's also known for its spectacular wildlife and diversity of plant species. This great living resource is vanishing as fast as Africa's human cargo of desperately poor people is increasing, because on this continent poverty is as great a threat to Africa's natural resources as great wealth. In this week's we visit two hotspots for wildlife diversity, the Republic of Congo and Kenya. We find out just how complex the causes of the destruction of wildlife and wild areas are, but also how even the most disadvantaged communities can develop the means to make wildlife pay its way.
If nature disappears, mankind will disappear. Man, nature's biggest predator, will also disappear.
This is the Republic of Congo in southwest Africa. Little more than 10 years ago it was cloaked in forest rich in wildlife, but satellite imagery and environmental assessments indicate that the outlook for the forest and its wild inhabitants, chimps, forest elephants included, is bleak. The country's president does not agree.
We protect the forest, we work the forest, we replant and create protected areas. We're moving towards development for villages and those living around protected areas, and we are developing ecotourism. It's a whole program.
Sustainable development and conservation are concepts that are relatively new in the Republic of Congo. The government is riding on a wave of new political initiatives, particularly when it comes to the use of the forest, the country's second source of export revenues after oil. Covering 2/3 of the country, its forest forms part of the Congo Basin rainforest, the second largest in the world after the Amazon. By the day, the timber trade grows. The Republic of Congo and other Central African countries are faced with the growing challenge to strike a balance between exploiting and protecting their natural resources. "600 kilometers to the west of the capital Brazzaville, on the edge of the Congo Basin forest, lies the Konkwati-Duli National Park. Established by the Congolese government in 1999, the park covers an area of over 5,000 square kilometers. Since the summer of 2004, Konkwati has been run by the World Conservation Society, with headquarters in New York.
Konkwati is a so-called national park, but if you look at national park status at an international level, it doesn't reply to it. What we want is that this park becomes a park, which is not the case for the moment.
The park lies 180 kilometers from the port of Pointe-Noire, Congo's second largest city. It's a haven for African wildlife, but also a focal point for those making a living from the illegal trade in wild animals. And in this part of the world, bushmeat is the protein of choice.
Pointe-Noire has 1 million people, so if everybody eats 1 gram of bushmeat every day, that's 1 million grams of bushmeat that comes from the park, from nowhere else, because they emptied everything around it. So it's not sustainable.
Not only does the park face pressure from the inhabitants of Pointe-Noire, there are also several communities located within its boundaries. Traditionally, they've depended on the forest for their livelihood, but they told us that they're not benefiting from conservation.
Beforehand, in 1972 and other years, the village was lively. Everyone was happy somehow. And now, since the park was set up, hunting, fishing and picking fruit have been forbidden. So people aren't very happy. Well, they're not happy at all, and they don't live off what they used to live off. It's forbidden for us to fish, hunt, pick fruit, everything. The park promised to set up alternative activities.
The villagers told us that these alternative means of livelihood have not been provided, and they're getting angry.
We want the park to be transferred 40 or 50 kilometers away, or even 200 to 300 kilometers away. We're not against the park. Why would we be? We want them to let us be free. Let us be free.
Free, but at what price? Some locals recognise the price they may pay.
If nature disappears, mankind will disappear. Man, nature's biggest predator, will also disappear.
Conservation is a recent concept. People don't understand conservation very well.
With no viable economic alternatives for the local population, the fear is that the subsistence hunters will openly join the illegal bushmeat trade. In this part of Africa, bushmeat is the favourite item on the menu. If poaching takes off, the wildlife in Konkwati's 5,000 square kilometres will not last long. The park has only 3 official Congolese government employees and a team of 20 eco-guards paid for by the World Conservation Society.
What I want to ask from the government is their support. We need them to give us the necessary means to fight poaching. The state must support us and give us the necessary means to carry out our surveillance activities.
On a daily basis, the guards say they find bushmeat and protected species like this live crocodile on the vehicle transporting people from the villages in Konkwati to Pointe-Noire.
We've even found live crocodiles which have lost their legs. They got gangrene because they were tied up for so long. You see, it is trying to move, but it can't use its front legs properly yet. It's transported alive because the meat is then fresher. They take it to the market in Pointe-Noire, and when we search the vehicle, there's always something on board. At New Year we seized 23, was it 23 or 21 crocodiles on the vehicle, and 69 other dead animals.